On the evening of October 12th, the flashing red and blue lights of a police cruiser sliced through the tranquil twilight of the affluent suburb of Lakeside. Dr. Julian Hayes, a distinguished cardiothoracic surgeon, was stopped by Officer Mark Thorne of the Lakeside Police Department. The location was a quiet, tree-lined street, just 2 blocks from Dr. Hayes's own multi-million-dollar home. The vehicle he was driving was a 2023 Lamborghini Huracan, its Verde Mantis paint job a stark, vibrant slash against the muted tones of the setting sun. The reason for the stop, as initially stated by Officer Thorne, was a failure to signal a turn a quarter-mile back. But the encounter quickly devolved into a baseless accusation of theft, fueled by a corrosive and deeply ingrained racial prejudice. Officer Thorne, looking at the black man in the 6-figure supercar, declared that Dr. Hayes couldn't possibly afford the vehicle he was driving. This is the bodycam footage of that stop. Timestamp: 19 hours 14 minutes and 2 seconds. The video feed is shaky, capturing the reflection of police lights against the polished green metal of the Lamborghini. The engine emits a low, guttural purr before silencing with a click. Officer Mark Thorne's hand rests casually, almost possessively, on the grip of his service weapon as he approaches the driver's side window. He's a man in his late 40s, with a thick neck and a face that seems permanently set in a sneer of mild contempt. He taps the tinted glass with a thick knuckle. The window glides down silently, revealing Dr. Julian Hayes. He's wearing light blue surgical scrubs, the faint scent of antiseptic soap still clinging to him. His face is etched with the fatigue of a 12-hour shift, but his eyes are clear, calm, and intelligent. He looks at the officer without fear, only a weary resignation. "Good evening, officer," Julian says, his voice smooth and measured. "Was I speeding?" "License and registration." Thorne grunts, ignoring the question. His eyes aren't on Julian's face. They're scanning the car's interior, the bespoke leather seats, the gleaming carbon fiber trim. His gaze is hungry, accusatory. Julian nods slowly. He leans over to the glove compartment, announcing his movements clearly. "I'm reaching for my registration and proof of insurance." "Officer." He retrieves the documents from a leather-bound portfolio and hands them out the window along with his driver's license. Thorne takes them, his thumb swiping across the name on the license, Julian T. Hayes. He shines his flashlight on the registration, then back at Julian, then at the car. The cogs are turning in his head, and they are grinding with suspicion. "This car registered to you, Mr. Hayes?" Thorne asks, his tone dripping with disbelief. "It is," Julian replies. "Is there a problem?" "A problem?" Thorne gives a short, derisive laugh. "I don't know. You tell me. Were you headed in such a hurry you forgot how to use a turn signal?" "I'm headed home, officer. I live on Elm Street. And for the record, I did use my signal." "I'm quite certain of it." Julian's tone remains even, but a sliver of steel has entered it. He knows the script. He's lived variations of it his entire life, but the lines have never been delivered with quite this much naked contempt. Thorne leans down, getting closer to the window, invading Julian's space. "You live on Elm Street? In this neighborhood?" He gestures around at the manicured lawns and stately brick homes. "Doing what exactly?" "I'm a surgeon at Lakeside General," Julian says, the words tasting like ash in his mouth. He shouldn't have to justify his presence in his own neighborhood. He shouldn't have to present his credentials to prove he belongs. The officer's sneer deepens. He glances at the scrubs as if they're a Halloween costume. "A surgeon, huh? Right. A surgeon driving this." He pats the roof of the Lamborghini as if claiming it. "Funny. You don't look like a surgeon." The implication hangs thick and toxic in the air. "You don't look like a surgeon. You look like a black man. And black men don't have this. Not legally." Julian takes a slow, deliberate breath, forcing the anger down. He has spent his career mastering control, in the operating room, where a single tremor can mean life or death, and on the streets, where a single wrong move can mean the same. "And what, officer, does a surgeon look like?" The question, calm and direct, seems to throw Thorne off balance for a second. He recovers quickly, his arrogance a shield. "Not you. Step out of the car, please." The request is an order. The escalation has begun. Julian's mind races. He's 2 blocks from his home. His wife is waiting. He just wants this to be over. But he also knows that compliance can be misinterpreted as guilt, and resistance can be fatal. Officer, am I being detained, or am I being arrested? Julian asks, his voice now taking on the precise, questioning tone of a lawyer. You stopped me for an alleged traffic violation. You have my license and registration. If you are not writing a citation, then I believe I should be free to go. Thorne's face darkens. He sees the challenge not as a citizen asserting his rights, but as a criminal trying to squirm away. You'll be free to go when I say you're free to go. I said, step out of the vehicle. Now. Or I will remove you myself. His hand moves from the grip of his gun to his taser. A curtain twitches in the house across the street. A couple walking their golden retriever slows their pace, their heads turned toward the flashing lights. The audience is gathering. Julian makes a calculated decision. De-escalate. Comply for now. Document everything. He turns off the car completely, places his hands on the steering wheel where Thorne can see them, and then slowly opens the door. He unfolds his 6'2" frame from the low-slung car, standing tall on the asphalt. He is careful to make no sudden movements. Okay, officer. I'm out of the vehicle, Julian says. Thorne directs him to the back of the Lamborghini, forcing him to place his hands on the spoiler. The cold metal is a stark contrast to the warmth of the engine. I'm going to be real honest with you, Thorne says, his voice low and conspiratorial, as if he's letting Julian in on a secret. A guy like you, in a car like this, in this neighborhood, it just doesn't add up. It pings my radar. So I'm thinking this car is hot. I'm thinking it's stolen. There it is. The accusation, laid bare. It's not about a turn signal. It was never about a turn signal. It's about a black man possessing something a white police officer believes he has no right to. Julian feels a cold fury rising within him, a precise and surgical anger. He turns his head slightly, his eyes locking onto Thorne's. Officer, let me be equally honest with you. You are making a dangerous and frankly racist assumption. You pulled me over because you saw a black man in an expensive car, and your prejudice filled in the rest of the story. That car is not stolen. It is mine. And you have no probable cause to detain me or to search my vehicle. Don't you play the race card with me. Thorne barks, his voice rising. He jabs a finger into Julian's back. I see guys like you all the time. Flashy cars, quick money. It's either drugs or it's stolen. So which one is it? It's neither, Julian states flatly. It's the result of a medical degree, a surgical residency, a fellowship at Johns Hopkins, and 20 years of performing complex open-heart surgeries. It's the result of work you can't possibly comprehend. Thorne laughs, a harsh, ugly sound. Oh, I get it. You're a real smart guy, huh? Got an answer for everything. But you know what you can't answer? How a guy like you affords a $300,000 car. Let's be real. You can't afford this. The words, so blunt and ignorant, hang in the air. Julian feels a profound sense of exhaustion. He is the chief of cardiothoracic surgery at the city's most prestigious hospital. He holds patents on 3 surgical devices. He sits on the board of 2 medical charities. And here, on this quiet street, he is being reduced to a caricature, a stereotype spit from the mouth of a man whose power is matched only by his prejudice. Officer Thorne, Julian says, his voice now devoid of all warmth. Your badge number is 714. I am informing you that your body camera is recording this interaction. You are conducting a pretextual stop. You have illegally detained me without probable cause. And you are engaging in blatant racial profiling. Every word you say is compounding the legal jeopardy you are putting yourself and your department in. This recitation of facts, delivered with the cold precision of a diagnosis, infuriates Thorne. He sees it as a threat. He grabs his radio. Timestamp, 19 hours, 21 minutes, and 13 seconds. Dispatch, this is 714. I need backup at the corner of Oak and Elm. I have a non-compliant subject, possible stolen vehicle. Suspect is getting aggressive. The lie is breathtaking in its audacity. Julian hasn't moved. He hasn't raised his voice. He has been the model of compliance. Yet on the official record, he is now non-compliant and aggressive. It's the oldest trick in the book. Create a narrative that justifies the abuse. Within minutes, a second cruiser arrives, siren wailing unnecessarily. A younger officer, Miller, gets out, his eyes wide as he takes in the scene. The Lamborghini, the well-dressed black man with his hands on the trunk, and the simmering rage on Thorne's face. What's going on, Mark? Miller asks, his hand hovering near his own weapon. This guy. Thorne spits, jerking his thumb at Julian, is driving a stolen Lambo. Says he's a doctor. Total bull. He's getting mouthy. Before Miller can respond, a third vehicle pulls up. A sergeant's car. Sergeant Davis emerges, a man with 25 years on the force and a weary look that says he's seen it all. He walks over, his presence immediately shifting the dynamic. Thorne, what's the situation? Davis asks, his eyes on Julian. Sarge, I pulled him over for a traffic violation, and the story's not adding up, Thorne explains, puffing out his chest. He's in a car he clearly can't afford, claims he lives here. I think it's a 10 to 85-inch stolen vehicle. Sergeant Davis turns his full attention to Julian. He's assessing him, not with Thorne's overt hostility, but with the practiced eye of a veteran cop. He sees the expensive scrubs, the calm demeanor, the intelligence in Julian's eyes. Something isn't fitting Thorne's narrative. He decides to play the reasonable mediator. Sir, I'm Sergeant Davis. Let's just calm this down and get it all sorted out. My officer is just trying to do his job. Can you please tell us how you came to be in possession of this vehicle? The question is polite, but the premise is the same. Julian is still the suspect. His ownership is still in question. He decides the time for quiet compliance is over. The time for clarification has arrived. He straightens up slowly, taking his hands off the car. Thorne tenses, but Davis holds up a hand to stop him. Sergeant, Julian begins, his voice carrying an authority that makes all three officers pause. I have been trying to explain the situation to Officer Thorne, but he seems uninterested in any facts that contradict his preconceived notions. My name is Dr. Julian Hayes. As I told him, I am the chief of cardiothoracic surgery at Lakeside General Hospital. I live at 214 Elm Street, which is 2 blocks from where we are currently standing. And yes, I am the legal and sole owner of this vehicle, which I purchased with money I earned saving people's lives. Thorne lets out another disbelieving snort. Prove it. Julian's eyes narrow. I'd be happy to. He looks directly at Sergeant Davis. I am going to reach into my back right pocket to retrieve my wallet. My movements will be slow and deliberate. Davis nods. Go ahead, sir. Julian reaches into his pocket and pulls out a slim, alligator leather wallet. He doesn't just show his driver's license, which they've already seen. He methodically pulls out another piece of identification. He holds it up for Davis to see. It's his hospital ID badge. On it is a picture of his smiling face, and beneath it, in bold letters, Dr. Julian Hayes, MD, PhD, Chief, Department of Cardiothoracic Surgery. Sergeant Davis takes the ID. He looks at the picture, then at Julian's face. The pieces start clicking into place. The scrubs. The calm, articulate manner. The location. He looks over at Thorne, whose smug confidence is beginning to crack, a subtle flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Officer Miller just looks pale, as if he's realizing he's walked into a disaster. See, Sarge? It's a fake, Thorne mutters, though his voice lacks conviction. It's not a fake, officer, Julian says calmly. He's not done. Not by a long shot. The dam of his patience has broken, and what's about to pour out is a flood of irrefutable, system-shattering truth. Sergeant Davis. Julian continues, his voice dropping slightly, becoming more serious, more powerful. I understand the need for diligence in policing. But what has happened here tonight is not diligence. It is harassment. It is a violation of my civil rights. And you should probably understand the full gravity of the situation you and your officer have created. He pauses, letting the weight of his words settle. The street is silent save for the hum of the police radios. The neighbors are now openly watching, their phone cameras raised. My wife is waiting for me at home, Julian says. She's likely getting worried. Her name is Eleanor Vance. Perhaps you've heard of her. Davis's brow furrows. The name sounds vaguely familiar, but he can't place it. Thorne just looks impatient. Julian provides the context. Eleanor Vance is the Deputy Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division of this state. The bomb has been dropped. A profound, echoing silence descends upon the scene. It's as if all the air has been sucked out of the street. Officer Miller looks like he might be sick. Sergeant Davis's face becomes a stone mask, his eyes widening almost imperceptibly as he processes the catastrophic implications. But it is the effect on Officer Thorne that is most dramatic. The color drains from his face. The arrogant sneer melts away, replaced by a slack-jawed expression of pure, unadulterated panic. His entire world, his sense of authority, his career, he can see it all crumbling in this single moment. He has not just harassed a citizen. He has racially profiled the husband of one of the most powerful civil rights attorneys in the state. Julian presses his advantage, his voice now like a scalpel, precise and cutting. The Deputy Attorney General is going to be exceptionally interested in Officer Thorne's official opinion that a black surgeon can't afford his own car. She's going to be fascinated by the transcript of a traffic stop for a phantom violation that turned into an illegal detention. She will want to review, in minute detail, every second of bodycam footage that shows a decorated officer of the law abusing his authority based on nothing more than the color of my skin. I can assure you both, your department's Internal Affairs Division is going to be the absolute least of your worries. Thorne finally finds his voice, but it's a reedy, pathetic version of his earlier bluster. I was doing my job. I had reasonable suspicion. Reasonable suspicion of what? Julian fires back, his voice rising with righteous anger for the first time. Driving while black? Owning while black? Existing while black? Your suspicion is prejudice, officer. Nothing more. Your job is to protect and serve the community. All of the community. Not just the parts that look like you. You didn't see a doctor who just spent 12 hours with his hands inside another human being's chest, saving their life. You saw a thug. You saw a caricature from your own bigoted imagination. And you will be held accountable for that. Sergeant Davis snaps into action. This is no longer an investigation. It's a full-blown crisis management situation. He turns on Thorne, his voice a low, furious growl. Thorne, shut your mouth. Get in your vehicle. Now, Thorne, looking utterly defeated, shuffles back to his cruiser without another word. Davis turns back to Julian, his face a mask of practiced, professional apology. Dr. Hayes, on behalf of the Lakeside Police Department, I want to offer my sincerest apologies for this profound misunderstanding. This was not a misunderstanding, Sergeant, Julian says, his voice cold as ice. He takes his ID back from the sergeant's hand. It was an act of targeted harassment. Your officer is a liability, and your department is complicit for allowing him to carry a badge and a gun. You are not sorry this happened. You are sorry you got caught. Sir, please, Davis begins, but Julian cuts him off. I'm going home to my wife now. You are free to go. He flips the officer's earlier words back at him, the irony thick and bitter. Julian walks back to the driver's side of his Lamborghini. He gets in, the door closing with a satisfying thud. He starts the engine, and the V10 engine roars to life, a thunderous declaration of presence and power that echoes through the quiet suburban street. It's a sound of defiance. He pulls away from the curb, slowly and deliberately, leaving the three officers standing in his wake, bathed in the fading glow of their own flashing lights. Timestamp: 19 hours 28 minutes and 45 seconds. The bodycam footage now focuses on Sergeant Davis turning on Thorne, who is still sitting in his car. Davis yanks the door open. What in God's name were you thinking? He snarls, his voice captured clearly by Thorne's microphone. Do you have any idea who that is? Do you know who his wife is? You didn't just write a ticket, you moron. You just handed the Deputy Attorney General a $10 million lawsuit on a silver platter. You just put this whole department under a federal microscope. The aftermath was swift and brutal. The neighbor's cell phone video, which captured the entire exchange, including Julian's powerful final speech, was online before Julian had even finished telling Eleanor the story. By morning, it was the #1 trending video in the country. News vans were camped out near the police station and on Elm Street. The headlines were relentless. Prominent surgeon racially profiled in own neighborhood. Can't afford this CR. Lakeside officer suspended after shocking video goes viral. Deputy AG's husband targeted by police in biased stop. Officer Mark Thorne was suspended without pay that same morning. An internal affairs investigation was launched, but it was a mere formality. The video was irrefutable. Inside their pristine, art-filled home, Julian finally let the mask of calm composure fall. The adrenaline faded, replaced by a deep, bone-weary sadness and a simmering rage. He recounted the incident to Eleanor, his voice thick with the emotion he had suppressed during the encounter. Eleanor listened, her expression transitioning from concern to cold, focused fury. She wasn't just a wife listening to her husband's story of humiliation. She was one of the state's top legal minds, watching a textbook case of civil rights violations unfold. When he finished, she simply took his hand. Then she picked up her phone. Her voice was calm, but it held the unyielding strength of forged steel. "Yes, this is Eleanor Vance," she said to the person on the other end, one of the top civil rights litigators in the nation. "We need to file a civil rights lawsuit against Officer Mark Thorne, Sergeant A. Davis, and the Lakeside Police Department for unlawful detention, for racial discrimination under the Equal Protection Clause, for everything you can find. We're asking for $10 million. There was a pause. "No, it's not about the money. It's about the message. It's about the cost. They need to learn that this kind of behavior has a price they can no longer afford to pay." The lawsuit was filed the next day. The city, facing a public relations nightmare and an unwinnable case against a plaintiff with unlimited resources and unimpeachable character, quickly moved to settle. Officer Thorne was fired from the force a week later, his career in law enforcement over. Sergeant Davis received a formal reprimand and was demoted. The city settled the lawsuit for $85 million. In a press conference held on the steps of City Hall, Julian and Eleanor stood side by side. "This was never about personal enrichment," Julian told the assembled reporters, his voice steady. "It was about accountability. Officer Thorne saw my skin color before he saw my humanity. He saw a crime where there was only a tired man driving home from work. This experience, as humiliating as it was, is not unique to me. It is the daily reality for countless Black and brown people in this country, most of whom do not have the platform or the resources that I do to fight back." Eleanor spoke next. "Therefore, we are announcing that the entirety of the settlement will be used to establish the Hayes Vance Foundation for Police Accountability. This foundation will provide funding for legal representation for victims of police misconduct, support community-led oversight initiatives, and work to dismantle the systemic racism that allows men like Mark Thorne to wield power without consequence." The story of the stop, the lawsuit, and the foundation became a national symbol of righteous vindication. But for Julian, the victory was bittersweet. The wound of the encounter remained. Every time he got into his car, a shadow of that night lingered. The system had been forced to respond, but only because of a perfect storm of circumstances: a viral video, an unimpeachable victim, and a connection to the highest levels of the justice system. The narrator's voice closes over a final shot of the green Lamborghini, parked safely in the garage of Julian's home. Officer Thorne saw a Black man in a Lamborghini and saw a crime. He couldn't see the surgeon, the husband, the pillar of the community. He saw only his own prejudice. Forcing the system to see the truth required a man with immense power and connections. The question that remains, the question we must all answer, is what happens to those who don't?